all need to pay me taxes, and I will stay king until I die, and then after that, my son will take over my spot, and none of you will ever have the ability to make any rules.
I'm out.
You can't make any rules. You need to pay the money to what I say needs to be paid to. Mrs. Krizik is George Washington.
Yay!
I come in with the argument, how can we work this out together? How can we be fair and equal to our people? What did the colonies do? Right?
And I keep saying, I'm sorry, this is my rule. This is my law. I'm the king, and you all need to listen to me.
And I keep fighting for the people, saying that we are the people of
Washington.
Washington. Where are you? You're in the new colonies.
Yes.
You're creating
colonies. We're starting to create what we call now the United States. United needs to come together, and George Washington felt so strongly about pulling the people together and representing them as equals and being fair and taking care of them. And now we have, what was he called?
the king.
The king
in Britain.
The king of Britain is coming over and telling us that we have to pay this, this, and this, and we have to follow all his rules, even though he's not even here with us in these colonies. And I'm saying, no way. Not fair. We have a voice. My people have a voice. We need to work together to try to solve this.
So, Mrs. Krizik, George Washington, and the King of Britain continue to argue. What happens when they continue to argue? Does it just go away and the king says, all right, fine, you can have it. You can have it your way. What happens, Andrew?
Start a war?
They started a war. And what war was started? The Revolutionary War. Who fought in the Revolutionary War? Who fought in the Revolutionary War, Aiden?
Great Britain and France.
Great Britain and the colonists, right? So there were people from over, the people that were being ruled by the king and who still believed we should follow the king. And then there were the colonists that said, no, we are in our own country. We have made this journey. We are going to this new place to be our own people. So they fight the Revolutionary War. Then after the war, does Mrs. Krizik decide as George Washington, I am now king? No, what happens?
What do I do? Someone want to tell me? Hema?
You win?
Well, who did you win? Who won?
What? George Washington.
So George Washington and who?
George Washington and the colonists.
Yes,
The people.
yes,
The people won.
the people won. And think about it, when you watch this video, was George Washington sitting in a palace in his castle, protected by the people? Where was George Washington during the Revolutionary War? Delaney.
Why did you
Like that camp, and he guided something and told them and to go, and they said a boy.
Yes, he kept saying, we are fighting for freedom, we are fighting for a reason. And he stayed right in that area with the soldiers. He was a part of the battle. So they felt very highly of George Washington, and what did the people decide then? TJ.
I just wanted to say that it was
On Christmas Day, so that was a fact. Yes, but after George Washington proved that he was a part of the people, he didn't just make the rules all the time. What did you all decide Mrs. Krizik as George Washington should be now? The president.
And you know what really reminds me of, and I don't want to get too far off of a tangent or in a different direction, but Martin Luther King, the way that they were leaders within their countries or the colonies at this time are so similar because they really represented equality and fairness and the voice of the people. So keep that in mind, and that's why when When somebody truly believes in something, they're going to stand up for it, and that's why they went to war.
And what did they create then? This isn't going to be on what you need to answer today, but what did they create? We learned about this yesterday a little bit. Remember we talked about the laws and the rules of the school? What did the colonists create?
The U.S. Constitution.
The U.S. Constitution. Thank you. Yes. And what did the U.S. Constitution do for us? Or for you? I'm still a king over there. What did the U.S. Constitution do for you?
They gave freedom, but they made their own laws.
It gave freedom, but they made laws. Remember there was that big law of the Constitution, and then what about all the little pieces? Remember we talked about the school as being the big law, and each of our classrooms were kind of like what? Like Wisconsin, California, Illinois.
Colonies.
The colonies. So at the time we didn't have the 50 states yet. So it was like the colonies. Each of the states of the colonies had their own little rules, but you still had that big law you had to abide by. Okay, so today, while it's fresh in your head, you are going to tell Mrs. Krizik and I, the King of Britain and George Washington, what did the Revolutionary War mean to the colonists? You are all the colonists. What did the Revolutionary War mean to the colonists? How did it help you? Okay? So I will read the question to you. It says, write a paragraph explaining what you know about the Revolutionary War. Okay, so you are going to think about what was the Revolutionary War? Who fought in the Revolutionary War? And how did the war cause the United States to become a country? Okay? So think about that. Think about what we just did. As Mrs. Krizik, as George Washington, and me as the King of Britain. Why did that Revolutionary War happen? And kind of write it like you're one of those colonists that was part of that time. Okay? Question?